Now, the mother of the missing 19-year-old Jay Slater says that Spanish police have stepped up their search for her son, who disappeared in Tenerife 7 days ago now.
Yesterday afternoon, search and rescue police and firefighters combed through a vast area of the valley where he was last seen.
And this comes after Debbie Duncan, his mother, spent 8 hours in a police station on Friday, where police outlined their detailed search plans.
Let's talk to former head of Lambeth Missing Persons Unit, Mike Neville. Mike, good to see you this morning. What's your assessment of what is going on now, a week in, where rather than things being in any way scaled down, they're being scaled up?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the Spanish police they've published quite detailed analysis of where they're going to search, focusing on these 3 ravines. And there's been similarities drawn, of course, through this search and the one for Dr. Michael Mosley. But the difference in the landscape you can see when you view the television images of the island, that whereas in the Greek island it was pretty barren, this area of Tenerife is quite wooded, and so there's so many places that somebody could have laid down to rest or take shelter, and it's not so visible from the air. So whilst the Spanish police are making use of helicopters and drones, they're really reliant on humans, so either the police officers, volunteers or park rangers and dogs, to try and locate Jay Slater. Now, we can only hope that he is alive and he's okay, but it's a long time now, and this is an area which is hot in the day and very cold at night. And of course, the lad was out in clothes that he'd worn at a festival, a T-shirt and shorts. So we can only hope that he's found very, very dehydrated somewhere. But I really feel for the mother, and I know every mother would have great hope, but it just doesn't look like it at the moment.
Brother are out there as well now. There's a lot we're not being told, which I suppose you can understand at the moment. But, for instance, the 2 British men he was seen with at one point were staying in a bed and breakfast type place, a rented accommodation, and the press and the police have already spoken to the landlady there. So, I mean, there must be things that we're not being told that they're also looking into.
That's right. I mean, there's all sorts of speculation on social media, and matters have been reported in the press and the Express, especially about Jay's past. And these things will be being looked into. And there's been another possible sighting several hours later that his mum's highlighted. But the Spanish police do seem to be focusing on this theory that he's got lost himself. They're basing it on the idea that he rang up himself and said, "Look, I'm lost." So they seem to be discounting any elements of criminality or some kind of kidnap, and they're really focusing on this the area of the park. And as I've stated, they've actually shown maps of the ravines that they're looking into. And so I think the Spanish police have been quite good at PR in the sense that they are telling us exactly what they're doing and the theories that they hold.
Again, from what you did in Lambeth, there must be an element, Mike, of you dealing with families involved in all of this. How do you even begin as a police officer to deal with the family of someone who is missing, especially a week in under these circumstances? Do you want to keep their hope alive? Do you want to manage expectation? What would you do?
Well, that's the balance of exactly what you've got to do. And what we've seen is that whilst the Spanish police have refused the offer of help from Lancashire Police to say, look, we've got sufficient resources to do the search, it would seem that Lancashire Police have said that they've got somebody liaising with the family, so that'll be a specialist family liaison officer who's trained to deal with families when there's been a very serious incident, including something like a murder, and this sort of critical incident. And also you'll have the Foreign and Commonwealth officials who are dealing with them. And it is that issue of, yes, keeping hope alive, being able to break that communication barrier, because, of course, the mother's already said her frustrations, that she doesn't speak Spanish and some of the officers don't speak English. So those, the family liaison officer, the Foreign and Commonwealth officer, they'll be absolutely vital in making sure that everything is explained, that some of the nuances, some of the differences in what things might mean are fully explained to the family. And so, because what they need is to keep the family on side, so if any other information comes through, this is quickly passed on to the police.
OK. Mike Neville, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
And the other horrible aspect of this, and it happens time and again now when we have a story about somebody who's missing or whatever, is the trolling that goes on on social media about, I don't know, saying the most horrible things, as if that's helpful to anyone. It's just so, it brings out the nastier side of some people.
Which is unbelievable. Yeah. Why is it that some people have this need to try to deliberately upset people?
Mm. I mean, the mother has been saying to various journalists that things she's having to read on, and she needs to keep on social media in case there's something relevant. But the trolling she's getting is absolutely appalling and incredibly upsetting.
There are some very weird people out there. And so that's why I say that this social media thing, I know it's very useful, it can be good, it closes gaps in the community in some respects, but it does open the door for a lot of nastiness from people who need to take a good look at themselves, really.